This tutorial is for the lab sessions of Circuits 2 course of Qatar University. In this tutorial, we are going to show how we shall proceed with our lab sessions throughout the study suspension. We are going to use Tinkercad to simulate our practical portion of the lab task. Tinkercad provides an environment which simulates physical features of lab equipment. Bear in mind that you will use this software only for the practical portion of your lab task and not for the multisim portion. In other words, you will still have to do the multisim steps in addition to this task. First, you need to go to tinkercad.com and sign in. Once you log in, you will encounter your dashboard. Tinkercad is actually used for multidisciplinary projects. So we're going to click on Circuits and create new circuit. Now we are in the simulation workspace. You can immediately see the physical components on the right side. The lab we are supposed to have this week is Lab 6. So let's look at the components that we need from the lab worksheet. We need a breadboard, a variable DC power supply, a digital multimeter, and 3 different resistors. We can navigate through the different sections of the component pane to find our components, or we can simply try find them using the search bar. So we want a breadboard, and as you can see there are various options for breadboards. We're just going to use the simple basic breadboard right here, the small one. We need power supplies, a digital multimeter. That did not come out. Let's just try multimeter. There it is. And we need to add 3 resistors. Now that we have all the components ready, we can start constructing the circuit. Let's refer to the lab worksheet. We have 2 voltage sources, a 5 and a 12V. Therefore, we put 2 power supplies and not only one. So what we are going to do is we're going to dedicate these lines up here for the 5-volt power supply and the lines below here for the 12 volts power supply. You can see that the terminals are color and text labeled, so we can easily identify them. We will bring the negative terminal of the power supply to the negatively labeled line on the breadboard and the positive terminal to the positively labeled line. Just a reminder, there is nothing special about the negative and positively labeled lines on the breadboard. The labels are there just for you to remember which one is which when you connect them accordingly. Now let's set the initial parameters. You could change the power supply parameters using the knobs, just as you would in real life. But we can also simply just click on the power supply and change the voltage value to the desired one. This one will be 5 volts. The current value here is the output current limit, meaning that the supply will not provide more than 5 amps. We usually reduce this to a much lower current, but I will leave this as it is now because I know it won't change much. We can also change the colors of wires. This is very important as it makes the assessment of circuit connections and their accuracy much easier. So we'll change the live line to red and the ground line to black. Now we will repeat the same steps for the other power supply. This one will be 12 volts. Now we need to place the resistors. We need a 2.2K resistor. We can click on any resistor to change its value to the desired value. You will notice that when you change the value of the resistor, the color bands change accordingly, so you will be able to distinguish them externally. Now let's find an appropriate placement that connects it to the positive terminal. Notice that when you move over the pinholes, you get these highlights that show you the connections of the pinholes, so you can never get confused about them. Now let's change the value of the second resistor. This will be R2 and it's 1.5K. There's a number of ways to make this connection. I can put it here, for example, and then work my way around by wiring. But I want to make it easy to follow and let it resemble the circuit diagram. So I want to rotate this resistor, and to do that I can just click on it and click on the rotate clockwise button up here. And now I can place it perpendicularly, just like it is in the circuit diagram. Now let's place the final resistor R3. I'll continue the circuit by connecting this side to the 12V terminal. Actually, now that we are at it, let's change the wire color connected to the 12V terminal to orange, just to make it easier to remember that this is a 12V line and distinguish it from the 5V. Now we need to connect the common ground. You see, all of these parts are connected to one ground. So you might think, well, connecting grounds like this is an option. And that is plausible. You would still have to connect R2 to one of the grounds though. A better option would be to connect it this way. Now it looks better, and we're using the same amount of wires. This way, the circuit is complete. By the way, keep in mind that oftentimes the simplest connection possible is not the one that resembles the circuit diagram the most. And also, the simplest connection is not necessarily the easiest to follow. Now, I will show you how to measure the voltage across a resistor, specifically resistor R1. Taking the positive terminal to one side and the negative terminal to the other. I will use the other multimeter to measure a nodal voltage, specifically voltage VB. Remember, when we measure the voltage at a node, we put the positive terminal on the node and the negative terminal on the ground. Now let's run the simulation and see what voltages we get. All the defined parameters are visible now. I can see that my voltage setting for 5 volt and 12 volts on the power supplies. Notice the difference between the voltage across R1 and the voltage at node VB. The voltage across the resistor is basically the voltage that is quote-unquote lost in the resistor, whereas the nodal voltage is basically the voltage difference between that point and the ground. That's it for this video. I hope that it will help you and it will be a good reference for your future labs.